Hi,
Morning, all.
hi, Patty.
Morning.
Hi, Mike.
Hey there.
Hey, Patty.
Hey.
Patty, were you just copying the agenda?
I did. I always do. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
just a few
copy it
minutes
over.
ago. Just a few minutes ago, right?
Yeah. I always copy it over onto my computer so I can edit it without people watching every typo I have.
Right. How are you?
I'd like to see your typos.
No, nobody. I'm the worst typist ever. I got my worst grade in high school in typing, and it hasn't changed
Does-
in all these years.
Doesn't matter, but okay. Yeah, I'm finding that I like tokenize. My brain thinks in terms of close words, and I can sometimes type literally the wrong word spelled correctly.
Yeah.
Either I'm getting dementia or I'm sort of learning the keyboard, but without even trying.
No, what I do is my fingers go too fast. My fingers don't keep up with my head, I think.
Right.
I think that was my problem too. I also failed typing.
I had to take typing because I failed algebra trig. My teacher said, I'll give you a D minus if you drop out of my class. Otherwise, you're going to get an E
Oh no.
at the semester. So then personal typing was half a year. So that was
Oh,
good.
well, thank goodness for typing class, really.
Oh,
Yeah, it
yes.
is useful.
So I'm the only one who I never took typing. But that's why I like the Timex Sinclair. They had one button for each command, right? I got used to that.
Well, we can
So,
pretty soon start to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way. Just so you guys know, Barb is going to help her sister in Grays Lake, Barb Eisenberg, to sign for a condo today. So she just sent me the information on treasurer's report. Morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Well,
Morning, Bill.
Bill,
For the record, Tom, I did. I let him in. I got a
oh,
notification on my screen.
very nice, cool. Yeah, because I'm gonna leave a little bit early, so I I think automatically it'll assign the host to one of the co-hosts.
Yeah, it'd be better if you could, if it's possible, Tom. I don't know how it all works. If it could just be assigned to, I think, Mike, you said you'd be willing to do that, right? If he has to leave.
Yep.
Um,
Well, it's a learning process. There are cases where it will ask me who I want to assign it to if I'm leaving.
mhm.
But now that I made him a co-host, it might just, well, yeah, we'll see. I also made Patty a co-host, so she knows
Okay.
how to admit people also. Because I've seen several situations where someone gets stuck in the waiting room for the entire meeting and then they're never let in. So we don't want that.
Yeah, let's not have that. It's 10:32, so I think like in another minute or two we ought to get past some of the housekeeping stuff. If that's okay with everybody.
Or
And I'll share this agenda. You were wise to wait till the last minute, Patty, because Tom and I were changing a little bit right at the last minute almost.
I'm a slow learner, but I get there eventually.
Oh, I think you're a fast learner, and you've taught me some stuff too. And thank you for putting the minutes into the unapproved folder. That made it real easy for me to transfer them because Tom taught me how to do that. So I
Right.
just had to follow my directions. And all right, well, I think we can get some of this out of the way. Does anybody mind that we're being recorded and live streamed? Hearing none. So let's see. The Green Party news here, I think we'll have to wait on that because I was kind of hoping Barbara Matiotis would, Barbara Dahlgren would help us with that because we had, people get elected in Madison that were Green Party candidates. And I thought it would be nice if that was on the record again. And then of course, she's elected to the Conservation Congress. And I'm not sure what other people we have elected in the state, but I know she knows. So we'll come back to that if that's okay.
Good. Greg, I also have a preliminary report on the British elections.
Ooh, cool. You want to tell us now?
I can tell you now. So Britain had local and regional elections on Thursday. So there were elections for the Scottish and Welsh parliaments and local city councils and mayors in England. And we have done reasonably well. As of an hour ago, Greens have won 91 city council seats across England, a gain of 57 since the last election.
Wow.
Also been elected to 4 council, have won seats in 4 city councils where we hadn't been before, Northumberland, Stockport, Hastings, and Derbyshire. The quote from the party's co-leader, Jonathan Bartley, is, I'm delighted to see Greens winning across the country, including those 4 cities. It's clear that there are no-go areas for Greens anymore. We're winning seats in areas that have been traditionally thought of as Labour and Conservative. Green politics is on the rise, and it's only the Green Party that is offering a clear vision of a better future with thousands of green jobs, warmer homes, safer streets, thriving local economies, and stronger communities. Cian Barry, who is at least reasonably well known in the UK, is running for London mayor and is running 3rd in some districts. Labour's Sadiq Khan is expected to win, and that result is supposed to come out later this morning. And the Sheffield City Council. Let's see. We now have we have 13 councillors in the city of Sheffield, 5 more than we did in the last, and we also beat the Labour leader of Sheffield in Hillsborough. So we've got good stuff. We have not won any seats in the Welsh Parliament yet, nor in Scotland. But Scotland has proportional representation, and we are likely to get some seats based on people's votes for party lists, and we'll probably know more about that this afternoon. It is possible that in Scotland, there's a large pro-independence movement, and the Scottish Nationalist Party is likely to form the government again. Scottish Greens are also pro-independence, so there may be some agreements around that to ask for another vote on independence in Scotland. So that's what I've got for now.
Thank you, Mike. That's very inspiring to hear the success of the Green Party in England and Scotland and Wales too. You said, right?
Yes, I will note that the party in England in the not so united kingdom is also pretty far left. So they're much closer to us than, say, the Germans.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, so let's see. Thank you, Mike. And we can, ask Barbara later if she wants to give us just a quick rundown of the names for people in office in Wisconsin again, for the record. Annual goals. So Patty and I have been talking about the mailing thing, and we'll continue to talk outside of the meeting, I would imagine, if that's okay with you, Patty.
Sure.
And Bill, I know you're helping with that. And let's see. Just to restate our goals, development, voter suppression, that's going to be on the agenda because there's quite a bit happening with that in Wisconsin. Milwaukee anti-racist Green New Deal, and lobby to repeal authorization to use military force. And then let's see, co-chair report. There's just a couple of things I want to share there. So on the Earth Day, like Democracy Now! Was reporting on that global warming thing that was hosted by the US government. And just some quick notes on that. Bloomberg and Gates were at that climate summit. And on that same day, Earth Day, the fossil fuels subsidies were being discussed in the Congress. The city of New York, de Blasio, is suing Exxon, Shell, and BP, and the American Petroleum Institute for decades of false advertising. Also, it was reported that the European Union nations are coming up with a 55% cut in their emissions commitment. No climate legislation passed as yet in the United States, but the mitigation thing about climate displacement, the Biden administration did a first ever executive order on that in the Northern Triangle, which was the Americas, but not the United States. And they were also stating what's going on with the subsidies. And it was reported that 18 billion plus in subsidies was given to the fossil fuel industry during the virus thing. At the same time, they laid off huge numbers of their employees. And it was also noted that China showed up for this global warming video, what's it called, Zoom meeting, and that was not a given. So that was something that was a plus, people felt. And they mentioned a book called Shelter from the Storm, Climate Solutions on Climate Displacement and Migration. They did a little review of that book. Any questions about any of that? Okay. And I think we already talked about the Southeast Wisconsin Co-op, Citizen Action, Wisconsin Northside Rising, Climate Equity Town Hall, right? Did we talk about that last month?
I don't recall that we did.
Okay. All right, well, I just have a few quick notes on that I can share with you, and then you can tell me if we did or not. So Robert Craig was one of the hosts, Southeastern Wisconsin Co-op of Citizen Action. And they talked about canceling. I was only able to go to the last 5 minutes of it. They talked about canceling utility debt. And Sarah Godlewski, state treasurer, right? She was talking about property tax relief. And she said that is going to come through the American Rescue Plan, which is funded not by the government. I mean, not funded, but Mike explained to me that controlled not by our state government, but directly by the governor, because they wanted to bypass the state legislature. Right, Mike?
Close. The federal government, when they passed all the aid to state and local governments, the state funds are controlled by each governor rather than the legislature. And and certainly in Wisconsin, the legislature is not real happy about that.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are my notes on that. Did we talk about that last time, or nobody remembers? Oh, good. I'm glad I left it on then. We probably didn't. And the last thing I wanted to report on was the
Greg?
Yes.
I just wanted to note that their Citizen Action is having some lobbying training around these climate equity issues Thursday night and Saturday. If you can stand all of the pro-democratic stuff, might be worth checking in on. We might learn something.
Coming up fast, huh? Thursday and Saturday. And where would we access that, Mike, if we did want to?
Let me look that up. I was looking at it for.
We'll let you go ahead and do that. Thanks. And then I just wanted to also share that the workers' petition about Amazon for International Workers' Day was on gp.org for that Earth Day to May Day thing that the National is doing. And then down below in our coalition reports, you'll see the line 3 petition share. Winona LaDuke is involved in, stopping line 3. And there's also a link to the calendar, because every Tuesday there's an event that's going on called something like Taco Tuesdays or something like that, but they're doing it in front of the Enbridge offices well, we'll get to that later on. Okay, secretary's report. Did you want to say anything, Patty? You're muted.
No, I've done request to have the minutes approved, April minutes.
You're kind of quiet too, at least for my ears.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Be better now?
A
Yeah,
little bit better, yeah.
So just approval of the minutes, that's all I have.
Yeah, nobody has given us anything on the minutes, so unless anybody here objects to approving the minutes, we can say they're approved. Treasurer's report. Barb Eisenberg, like I said, is not here, but she did confirm these totals. And membership committee. Go ahead, Patty.
On the agenda, you'll see the current eligible voting members. I think that's accurate. I don't think we added any new members over this last month, and paid members, that is. And then, so the state membership committee meeting met on Thursday, and the focus of the meeting was just a recap of the spring gathering. There were 29 attendees throughout the day on that, and the state committee, membership committee, felt like the gathering was very successful, very interesting guests, and as just thank you, Mike, for your presentation. That was really, really interesting. And let's see, I started, so Bill and I were going to be working on doing a hard copy mailing, and then when I got in to start printing the labels, I discovered that out of the 64 on the list, we only had 19 addresses.
oh,
So I haven't had the time to go in and get the addresses from Nation Builder put into the list so I can print labels, because I have to create a complete list in order to print labels. So I started working on transferring the addresses, but it's a slow going process. So as soon as I can get to completing that list, then we'll get going on.
So I would just suggest just leave it all in Nation Builder, and that way you you don't have to transfer anything, and just tag the Nation Builder records to indicate that they're Greater Milwaukee Green Party members also.
Well, yeah, you'd have to maybe assist me with how to do that, and then I have to I still have to transfer it into an Excel spreadsheet in order to print.
Yeah, but all you have to do is export from Nation Builder, and it does that.
Yeah, so I did a filter. I filtered and came up with, I just searched Milwaukee County, and there were over 1,800 names on it. So it's still a tedious process to go through, so and time consuming.
Well, yeah, I can help you. I could help you with that. If you could email me the list of people that you have now, then I could start manually tagging them in Nation Builder.
Okay. That's fine, I can do that.
Great.
I'm going to put myself on the stack for that. Anybody else? So we're talking about the Greater Milwaukee Green Party list for the mailing, Patty, is what you're talking about, right?
That's right.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for figuring that all out. And the fact that we have that separate list is really useful to me, because if there's 1,800 names in Nation Builder for Milwaukee County, that would be pretty, daunting to have to deal with those names compared to what we have now.
Yeah, and the other thing is that not everybody on our list is in Milwaukee County. So people like, we have Bruce Hinkforth on our list. And so I'm also going through and noting who is outside of our immediate area. So I'm trying to work through and get a good clean list for you, Greg.
Yeah.
Eventually, but yeah.
Thank you. It's been very easy to work with that list for me. Like when I updated the like whose membership, because we wanted, just so everybody knows, we wanted a clear picture of who had updated their membership for 2020 and 2021. So between Patty and I, we got that done. So now we have a good data, a good baseline of who is paying their memberships for starting in 2020. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to concede that you, I don't know how to get this across. It's like, yeah, I know this largely will go unheard, but, it can entirely be done in Nation Builder. And then a side benefit of doing it in Nation Builder is that you're increasing your Nation Builder skills. And I really need help with people that use Nation Builder. But I guess that's all I'll say, and maybe I'll try to get involved in this if I have time. Pass.
Patty Stack.
Go ahead, Patty.
Tom, it'd be easy for you just to, if you want to just send me a quick text or whatever, just tell me how to go about tagging the people. I can do that. But the reason Greg is, we're interested in a separate list is because we track the Greater Milwaukee Green Party payments in there and dates and so on. So it really is a separate list because it involves the dues payments for Greater Milwaukee specifically.
Right. So I think you can still handle all that in Nation Builder. You can track payments, but we shouldn't get into all the details. Probably
yeah,
now.
you can just if you want to send me some quick instructions, I can pick it up easily.
Okay.
Pass.
Mike Stack.
I'm going to put myself on the stack and then Mike. So I was also just feeling like, Tom, it's an education issue. So, I don't want you to feel like we're not hearing you. I think you're just in a position where you can educate us to get more capable at Nation Builder and do all of this on Nation Builder if it's possible. If not, we'll just keep a separate list, whatever works. Go ahead, Mike.
I just want to note that we can dream about getting 10% of 1,800 people paying dues, and what we could do with 180 new members.
Mm-hmm. That would be a pleasant dream. Go ahead, Patty.
Stack after. Were you on the stack, Greg? Next, I'll be on the stack whenever.
No, I was just thanking Mike for that dream. Go ahead, Patty.
Yeah, and it did occur to me to ask if we want to extend our mailing to a greater, people who are not on our list. So because we will have that Nation Builder data. So just a thought. Pass.
Okay, I'll put myself on the stack for that, but we could come to a group consensus on whether we want to come up with the amount of money that, I think it would all be coming up to what you felt was going to cost us, to do that or to do a smaller amount or whatever. And also our, Bill has volunteered to help with that, but the whole, so we appreciate that, Bill, but the whole workforce thing, and getting it done. So pass.
So that's all I have to report. Pass.
Thank you, Patty. IT social media report.
Okay, I think it'll be short. Crept up on me. So not too much to report. Yesterday I talked to Monte. He still can't make the Saturday meetings. I think he's working and he's off on Thursday, Friday. theoretically he should be able to make night meetings though, because he's working. He's done by between 4 and 6. Let's see. I've been kind of batting around this idea of trying to, plan for growth and deal with the Google Drive issues. Like at the state level, if we have 100 members, the model of just adding and removing people to folders is pretty crazy in terms of like not being manageable. So I'm trying to research a way to handle that. And I don't really see a simple solution. The voter list at the state level, I think we got a process for that. It's imperfect, and Dave kind of attacked that, but I think we did a good job on this spring gathering voter list. An example of how it's imperfect is sometimes people have an address that says Massachusetts, but they're really living in Madison. And where I did spend significant time last month in IT, at least I think of it as IT, is I'm sitting here looking at my phone and I'm not keeping. I was going to time this. Sorry.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Discussion list. And so I spent probably 2 or 3 hours working on a whole bunch of rules. And I think that's all really good work. And so I should have something to present on that. Yeah, maybe I'll just wrap up by saying something kind of non-IT. I was moved by this Dawn Goodwin podcast about Line 3. She's a indigenous Indian, and just something poetic and touching about how she expressed herself. Just so determined to stop line 3. Oh, and one other thing, I could use help promoting this meeting by people creating working on a monthly email blast to those 2,400 people and within 40 miles of Milwaukee. Pass.
Thank you, Tom. Elections Committee report. We'll wait for Barbara on that. She was planning on being here.
Patty,
Go ahead, Patty.
Tom, what could you clarify what you need help with? What did you say just at the end there?
All right. So I was trying to create a Nation Builder email blast to go out to, if you add up the list of supporters and prospects that are within 40 miles of Milwaukee, it's like over 2,000 people. And so I was sending out an email blast, and I think we might have gotten 1 or 2 people that showed up to the meeting as a result of that email blast. And I just forgot to do it this week. So that would be an example of something we could share as a duty, and it just helps promote this meeting. And so I have a form letter that I have, and you guys could tune it up and change it or whatever. Pass.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, so Outreach Committee report. You're
That's
muted.
Okay. Yeah, very brief report because because of the calendar anomaly this month, we are meeting this coming Thursday rather than 2 days ago. So if we are continuing our research project on the various reports that we've been gathering and collecting. So we're still basically doing that. But our next meeting is Thursday at 7 o'clock. I'll be sending out reminders to folks who have been active on Monday. And if you want to be part of the outreach committee and part of the campaign for a Milwaukee anti-racist Green New Deal, drop me a line. And just secondarily, I did post the lengthy links to the Citizen Action, Climate Equity training in the chat a couple of minutes ago.
Thanks, Mike.
That's my report.
Okay. So these volunteer job openings haven't changed, so we don't really need to do that. So we can move on to the team skills, team building thing, the public part of the meeting. What we decided to do was to print the things that people said last time. So I think maybe everybody here except for Patty, did you want to say, or did you get to talk last time about what incentivizes you to work with the Green Party?
No, I did not.
Do you want to? I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm just saying, we thought we'd give people another chance because not everybody got a chance to last time.
Yeah, my reasons are in flux right now.
Okay.
So
No
I'll
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing that comes up with that, and I'll share let's see, I'm going to stop the share and share so now that we're done with incentives, we're on resources and personnel. And, that's something that we're doing a mailing for, right? So we're going to spend some money on that to get some more resources and personnel. And I think we might be successful. Like, it seems like along with Mike's news, people are becoming more and more interested in alternatives to the Democrats and the Republicans. So we'll discuss that next time, our resources and personnel. And also, as far as the agenda goes this time for team building, we have to talk about how to give feedback. So next time in June, giving feedback. And, this is really critical for a team, right? To be able to give each other feedback. It's hard to motivate people when they're not getting paid. When you're a manager and you have to give feedback to keep your job, it's one thing, you're motivated, right? By money. But when you're a committee chair for the Green Party or, some other leadership position for the Green Party, it might be easy to blow that off. But it is really critical when we're on a team that we feel comfortable and that we have the skills to give each other feedback, because obviously we're going to mess up. We're only human, right? So any suggestions on how to do that next time? In the past, I think we had a volunteer to do it. Any suggestions?
So you're asking about, you're asking for sorry, I don't know if that's me.
Are you having interference or something? You're coming across just fine.
Maybe someone else has two devices or someone else's speakers on.
Yeah, okay. So just to clarify, you're asking right now, you're putting out a question about suggestions for how we can give feedback or support. Is that what your question is?
Well, using the technology that we already have practiced, we need to practice that at least my opinion is that we need to practice that in a visual and auditory way with each other in order to give people the team skills that they need to give feedback effectively, right? Otherwise, we have no way of saying to people, well, you know, the feedback you were giving was inappropriate. You know, why didn't you use the team skills that we practiced, right?
You know, frankly, I find it very
I had to
difficult.
do that with I had to do that one time with one of our members, and it worked really well. But you know, because I was giving negative feedback, it also made my throat go like this. You know, because it's a little scary to have to give somebody feedback. Sound like you wanted to be on the stack, Tom?
Yeah, I guess I think one of my natural reactions is if I feel emotionally impacted negatively, I don't have the confidence to give immediate feedback. Feel like I need to process it, and it's like 2 or 3 days later I might be ready to give the feedback, and but by that time it's all blown over. So I guess I just find it quite difficult. Yeah, of course, I'm thinking of a specific example in my head which I don't feel comfortable sharing, but yeah, it's so much easier said than done. So I don't know if in some respects it's better in some cases to actually just trust yourself during that interaction, because there can be like, you know, sort of like thinking on your feet and giving the feedback right during, like, in a sense, like not just feedback, but in a sense like handling a conflict in real time, you know, appropriate. I'll give you a quick example. It's another group, and this guy, the leader of the group, got on a conference call, or, you know, it's just 3 people, right? And one person is like, well, I need the password. And I said, well, I follow best practices. I need 10 minutes to get you the password. Yeah. It's like, no, I need it now. I need it right now. and I responded by saying, well, you know, it kept up. You know, it was very clear to me that he's very angry. Well, I tried that, you know, I tried the password and it didn't work. Long story short, I just said, hey, this is abuse. You know, you will, you know, I will get back to you in 10 minutes. So I think I handled that pretty well.
Was that in a meeting, Tom?
That was a completely out of the blue support request, in effect. You know, somebody's like, oh gee, I can't log in. Well,
So it was one-on-one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
So,
there are other instances of one-on-one things like that where it's right at that time.
Right.
And so pass.
Yeah, thanks. We're a little bit over that, so I'm kind of encouraging you. But you know what would help is that's a really good example that we could use at our June meeting for giving feedback. So if you could email that to me, just type it up and email it to me, you know, then we can put it out as something we're going to practice next time. Because that's a really good example, you know, and everybody feels that way. Like I said, I felt that way when I had to give this person feedback. They were walking out the door. They were obviously in a hurry. But of course, I wanted to catch him privately. So I caught him privately out in the entrance of the library and gave him the feedback. But like I said, my throat was like, you know, because I felt nervous about it. I hadn't practiced for a while. But it does take practice. And that's why we need to practice. Otherwise, we can't say to people, these are our team skills. This is what we use on our team when we have to give each other feedback. This is what's appropriate. This is what's not appropriate, right? That's why we're all the time saying we practice team skills and we train people in team skills. And that's just one of our team skills, of course. But you mind doing that, Tom? That would be very helpful.
Yeah, I just want to be careful that doesn't blow up in my face. I'll have to obfuscate some of the details or something.
All right. All right, we're a little bit over. Sorry about that. the education component, I think, is where we can catch up. So how many people are aware that voter suppression laws are being voted on in Wisconsin this week? Anybody? Okay, so the Republican legislature has decided that they're gonna put these laws forward on who gets to pick the electors in Wisconsin, which I'm assuming it's gonna be them, the Republicans. And also, of course, the same things that we're hearing in the national news about ballot boxes, can't give a drink to, or anything to eat anybody that's standing in the voting line, cutting back on I don't know. I'll let somebody else talk because there's other things too. Anybody else?
Well, nationwide, this isn't very scary. It's literally hundreds of laws I think that the Republicans are working on. And that's why I keep bringing up this Harvey Wasserman podcast and weekly Zoom thing where they're working against the voter suppression laws at the national level. Pass.
Thanks, Tom. Go ahead, Patty.
Pat, yeah. I feel sort of ignorant that I didn't know about that this was. I'm aware of what's going on in other states, but was not aware that this was being voted on in Wisconsin. And I feel like this is something the Green Party, the state party, should have been, really proactive on, getting Green Party members to, a call to action on this. And I feel bad that I'm so ignorant on it, but why wasn't this focused on by the Wisconsin Green Party?
Stack, Bill.
Go ahead, Bill.
We still have a subscription to the Milwaukee Sentinel, Journal Sentinel. So there's been 2 articles in the last couple of days, 2 or 3 days, that are of interest. One is a general review of voter suppression bills that are surfacing in state houses around the country. And then a note that there's virtually no danger of those sorts of laws being passed or being put into effect in Wisconsin because Governor Evers has already indicated he intends to veto all of them. Now, the second article appeared today in the Journal. It's worth looking at. There's some blowback from some in the Republican Party in states like Texas and Florida, because they are very successfully pushing forward pretty comprehensive voter suppression. And there is a belief in some sectors of the Republican Party that this could actually hurt the Republicans more than the Democrats because of the voting patterns indicated by the most recent election and the effects of the pandemic. And it goes into it in a lot of detail. So I'm not sure where all of this is going. It's obviously a grave threat to democracy, but in response to Patty's inquiry, I think that it probably is not the direct threat in Wisconsin that it would be otherwise if we still had Walker and Pass.
Thanks, Bill. I'm gonna put myself on the stack for this. If it's not a grave threat in Wisconsin, I don't understand why it isn't a grave threat in Wisconsin. Why, if the legislature is going to pass these voting rights, suppression things, then why wouldn't they just override the governor's veto? They have the votes to do it. So I don't understand.
Sure they do.
Mike Stack.
Did you say you're not sure they do, Bill? Okay, thanks.
Right.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, they would need 2/3, and they definitely don't have that in both houses. They might have it in the assembly, but the Senate is uh, uh, there are definitely too many Democrats, quote unquote, or enough Democrats, more precisely, in the state Senate that they don't have the votes to override. So I agree with Bill, but that's not to say that we should not be making. Patty's right. The state party should be at least putting out press releases and email blasts to our supporters to mobilize around these issues. There's certainly nothing stopping us from doing that, and I would support that certainly on the state level. And you know, if GMGP had a newsletter that came out every week, that would be a topic I think we'd hammer on. But as usual, don't have the personnel.
Stack, Bill.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, just following up on Mike's point. We don't have the personnel. That's true. I mean, when you say the state party, as far as statements, public statements, our web page, that sort of thing, it usually boils down to Dave and a few others that would put out such statements. And the focus statewide was on the opportunity offensively around rank choice voting, rather than raising a cry around voter suppression. So it would have been good, but once again, we don't always have the personnel to follow through on these things. I think the initiative we took on ranked choice voting was excellent, and the statement in the webpage was very good. Pass.
Thanks, Bill. Anything else? Well, I'll just say from the elections committee, I hear you, Tom. I'll just say from the elections committee, because we did meet this week, that we are working on the voter suppression thing and utilizing Mike's advice to use the Brennan Center's data on what's happening in Wisconsin. We have not done that yet, but that's our plan. And we also met this week, and Barbara put out some emails about what we talked about as far as our agenda went and what we covered. Did everybody see that, or anybody see that? Okay. Well, if she's not here, I'll fit that in. But the other part of that is voter suppression is going to be a big issue in Wisconsin, because these, well, I guess I feel better about it after hearing about, the clarification about why we don't have to worry about overriding the governor's veto. So thanks to Mike and Bill about that. And as far as the, what else was Barbara putting out about that? Well, I'll get to that if she doesn't come, because she wanted to report on that. And so I'll leave a couple of minutes for that if nobody minds, and move on. Any objections to moving on? Okay, so announcements.
Oh, can I?
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. I forgot you're on the stack. Sorry about that.
So in the chat, I brought this up before. It forced me to dig up a couple links, and they're not perfect links, but I'll keep at it. So Howie Hawkins meets with this coalition group of maybe 100 people, and they're really excellent volunteers. They're all focused on the voter suppression laws plus voting reform. And one of them, Emily Levy, I met her in Madison during the 2016 recount. But yeah, it's a Zoom call once a week that, yeah, yet another Zoom call you could get involved in. And if you don't want to, they record it and you can watch it. Pass.
Yeah, thanks for that link, Tom. That's great. Did somebody else just come in? Okay. So announcements. Let's see. The Wisconsin People's Power Summit is 6/11 and 6/12 in Maribel, Wisconsin. So I thought it would be really great if we could get somebody in the state or a couple people from the state to go to that and represent the Green Party. I might even be willing to do it, but I'm not going to do it alone. To me, it has to have like 2 people to be effective. I don't know why that is, but that's just how I feel about it. So June 11th and June 12th, and that's building a mutually empowering network of progressive organizations and community members. And there's the website for it, link, and again, that's in Maribel, Wisconsin. Does anybody know where that is? So Maribel is close to Manitowoc. It's between Manitowoc and Green Bay. And it's got a beautiful park there on the Twin Rivers called Maribel Caves. It's a huge park with beautiful trails and these weird caves and cliffs that go down to the river. So it's a great place to have a gathering for sure. Let's see what else here on announcements. Is there any interest in that, or any availability from people that are at the meeting today? Because I know we're all very busy.
Mike Stack.
Go ahead, Mike.
I've been following them on Facebook for a while. I didn't realize it was coming up so soon, but and I'm not sure I'm quite ready for gatherings, physical gatherings yet. But I do think that it's worth doing for those who are. And yeah, I think there's some definite possibilities for us to do some organizing there.
Yeah, that's a Friday and Saturday thing, just so people know that.
How far?
Patty, were you on the stack?
Just after Tom, please. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, it's interesting because it makes sense to carpool, but I'm okay with gatherings, but I'm just not. I'm not sure if it makes sense to be in the same car with somebody. So how far away is Maribel?
It's let's see, hour to Sheboygan. I would say less than 90 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I would consider it.
Oh, good. Okay, and I'm not even sure I'm available for that. I have to kind of see what life brings my way by then. But Patty?
So is it a 2-day event or?
Yeah.
So you go
Friday and Saturday.
You'd go up and back then each day, Friday, Saturday.
Maybe, or depending on the agenda, we might decide that, well, we're interested in this day, but we're not really interested in this day, kind of thing. So
Greg, is the schedule posted on the website?
I imagine. I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but
let me go see.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for looking at that. And we'll move on just so we don't get caught up on this too much. But then we'll come back when Mike's got the research. Thank you, Mike. Also, for announcements, Germany's highest court ruled the government must expand its efforts to protect future generations from global warming in a lawsuit that was brought by a group of youth activists. So that's kind of a global warming announcement. And they, of course, were ecstatic with that in Germany. And Micah, did we talk about Micah the Milwaukee Interfaith Council has hired an organizer to help with health issues on the north side and to help establish the stability of Ascension St. Joseph's Hospital, because Ascension was talking about closing that. So that's a health issue thing that Joyce was filling us in about. And let's see. Coalition updates. Anything else on announcements? Any announcements that anybody else has?
Let's see. I got one.
Okay.
I believe Gwen Moore is meeting with it's unclear what it all is, but like a group of peace action people and end the war people. I think it's on May 10th. So I think largely people will be silent, and you have to funnel your questions up to like 2 or 3 people that would be the ones to ask them. But it's the second meeting in a month or so, so that's a good thing. Pass.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, Gwen's really making the rounds. She's also meeting, or she's going to be the speaker at the 350. I just did the 350 protest yesterday down on water in Wisconsin, and one of the 350 members was telling me that Gwen Moore is going to be their speaker on Tuesday, and she will be making the rounds there as well. So if you want to go to their meeting, it's always on Tuesday. What is that? The second Tuesday? Yeah, second Tuesday at the Urban Ecology Center. So coalition updates. Let's see here. So the 350 thing, that is a big line 3 issue as well, because when you look at what that's going to do to global warming, it's huge. So there's a link there to an online petition to stop line 3 going to Biden, because he could stop that immediately, apparently, just like he did the Dakota Access Pipeline. And I don't know, anything on DSA update for single payer? No? Wisconsin Cannabis Activists Network has a link to the Speakers Bureau on Facebook. And that is the new name for Southeastern Wisconsin NORML. Has come together with the state Wisconsin Cannabis Activists Network, and Eric Marsh, who some of you guys know, is co-director of that now. And so he's also saying, Eric is saying to me in a personal message, that there is a lot of stuff going on locally with cannabis activism. So I'm waiting to hear back from him on that, but I suppose I can probably get that from Wisconsin Cannabis Activists Network Facebook too. And any questions about that? Okay, anything on End the Wars Coalition, Stand for Peace? Just so you know, Peace Action does have a thing that they bring to the 350 Friday protest at Water in Wisconsin in front of the Chase and Wells Fargo banks. That supports, that Peace Action supports the global warming initiatives to improve our chances with global warming. So they have a big professional sign that they use too. So just want to give them credit for that. Anything else on End the Wars Coalition, Stand for Peace?
Maybe one thing. The FCNL Friends Committee on National Legislation, they've successfully held a joint meeting between Milwaukee and Madison chapters, and they're starting to brainstorm about trying to grow out into the all the other districts of Wisconsin, and what they're focused on doing lobby visits. So it's interesting. It's another example of a similar group with similar challenges, and I thought it was a good meeting. They're trying to figure out how not to dilute themselves, but maybe it's something we should think about, occasionally having a joint meeting with Four Lakes Green Party. Pass.
Thanks, Tom, for that idea. Anybody else? Announcements? I mean, coalition updates. Sorry. Okay, Economwalk for Safe Technology put out a warning saying that, just so people are aware, it takes a 1,000 time increase in power to go from 4G to 5G. And I believe them because in our neighborhood, they're putting up those 5G things that look like telephone, they look like street lamp poles, and then they have the relay antennas on the top. And about a half a block away, they have put in a brand new power meter, stands about 3 feet high. They don't have the meters on yet, so I'm assuming these are not turned on yet. They just have the meter stand there in the empty place where the meter's going to go. So if anybody wants a tour of what your neighborhood's going to look like, I can show you in my neighborhood. Any questions about that or comments?
I just think rolling them out everywhere. There's like 5 towers in the Bayview area, and typically they have a Verizon label on them, and they have warnings about radiation that don't stay here very long, kind of thing. Yes.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, so that might be an interesting little picture to have if you ever get a picture of that warning label, Tom.
Yeah. Side point: mapping is an interest of Tomas, and I've got infrastructure pictures, and Tomas put it all together because the Google photographs have locations, so he wants to potentially map out some of these things cardiographically, so we could have a map of the towers in our respective neighborhoods. Pass.
Right. All right. Hearing nothing else or nobody else on the staff, we can move on to the agenda. And the first thing on there is this is the Stop Line 3 calendar. Shows what's happening in May, but then of course it shows what's happening beyond May too. And there's some like there's a Salsa at Sunset Tuesdays, and that's in Park Rapids, Minnesota, by the Enbridge offices downtown. And there's a restaurant there that serves up the salsa kind of stuff, salsa and the food. So that could be a fun getaway too. And that's every Wednesday, or wait, no, that's every Tuesday. But you'll see on the calendar that there's events happening today, tomorrow, Wednesday. And they had a thing on Democracy Now! They covered that yesterday because all the activists are like chaining themselves together and that kind of thing. It's quite huge actually what's happening with that. And I think I mentioned last time that when we were down doing or maybe I just mentioned this to Mike when we did the agenda meeting, but when we were down doing the 350 protest on the corner of Wisconsin and Water, one person came up to us and gave us all line 3 buttons. And then I was standing on the corner and a car drove up, and this woman about our age wanted to give me a line 3 button. So there's a lot of energy in Milwaukee area right now for supporting the line 3 efforts. Anybody on that item before we move on?
Patty staff.
Go ahead, Patty.
So that is, I don't know why I have an echo. That is the, we're at People's Power Summit.
You ask me again, Patty. I just wanted to turn my speakers off in case it was my computer giving echo.
So the something to do with mine. I don't have anything else on, so I don't know why I'm having this problem. Let me see here.
It's not a problem for me. I can't hear an echo.
Okay. So, sorry. So what you were just talking about, the Stop Line 3 calendar, that is under the People's Power Summit. Is that right?
No, it's under this, this, you see on the top there, that first agenda item. That's the calendar.
Yeah, I was trying to connect it to what's in, Mike put in the chat, the People's Power Summit.
Oh, that's a separate thing that we talked about regarding the, let's see, People's Power Summit. That is going to be in Maribel, Wisconsin, and that's empowering.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, okay, got it, thanks.
Okay.
Tom Stack.
Go ahead, Tom.
So I had my speaker on, but I had my mic muted. So it might have been me, but I was thinking, Patty, sometimes you have 2 devices, right? And if you have 2 mics, I don't know if it could possibly be you. I'm just speculating.
Yeah, thanks. I just unplugged my other mic on my desktop, so that might have been picking it up. So.
Oh yeah, now you're perfect. Okay.
Great. Okay, that was it. Sorry.
It's all right. Okay, our next item is ranked choice voting. So, Bill, were you saying that you have been attending these Howie Hawkins things on ranked choice voting, or was somebody saying they had been?
I attended a couple, but I didn't keep it up. I had conflicts.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say about that, as far as anything we might not know that we need to know?
Take a look at, if you haven't already, the statement on our state webpage, which I thought was very good. We need to keep up on and keep well informed about the efforts that are underway in Wisconsin. And I don't know the latest on that. Maybe Mike does. But it's an interesting development for us.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody else? Mike?
I'll take that cue. Although my information isn't much greater than that. There was an organizing event online on Tuesday the 4th. I did not get a chance to go, but there were speakers from the speakers from Democracy Found. That's the organization that I've been talking about with the corporate backers of ranked choice voting, and then another guy from something called Take Back Our Republic, which sounded like a fairly conservative organization, but they're for this initiative too. What they were planning to do is there were speakers from across the political spectrum, and then organizing around general strategy, capacity building, and team breakout sections. And they reserved the last part of the meeting to get. They're building 6 key teams to build the organizational capacity necessary to pass this legislation. I do not know how many people attended. I wasn't there, but yeah, I agree with Bill that we need to keep up with this, and maybe somebody from the coordinating council went and will report to us at our next meeting. That would be good, at least. I hope maybe we even got a speaker.
Thanks, Mike. Is there any way that we could link to that? Like, do you think it was something that was recorded and we could find out what happened there?
I was looking on their event page this morning, and I didn't see if there was a recording link. It was they hadn't posted since the event, so.
Okay, thank you.
But it was a Facebook event, so if people search for what it's they call it, let me see if I still have it up here somewhere. Meanwhile, while I'm looking, I did post all of that information on the People's Power Summit. The actual event is really on Saturday. They do have a quote unquote cultural event Friday night, but the main event is on Saturday. Looks to be all day.
Thanks, Mike. And we'll wait to hear from you on the other thing. We'll just move on if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. So our next item is the PRO Act, Protecting the Rights to Organize, Labor Law Reform Bill. And I know Mike wants to speak on that, but being that he's busy, anybody else want to speak on that?
I could say a couple things.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill. Thanks.
If the PRO Act were passed, and it would have to get past a probably a filibuster threshold in the Senate, so it's not very likely. But if it were to be passed, it would be the biggest step forward in securing labor and workers' rights since the 1930s. It would undo some of the reactionary legislation of the Taft-Hartley Act of the 1940s. And it would kind of, as they say, level the playing field between employers and workers, and would allow for great opportunities for workers to organize. As it is right now, the law has built in so many obstacles to workers being able to organize for their own benefit that the unions continue to decline for very understandable reasons. So I know that within the last month, the AFL-CIO and the Democratic Socialists of America have prioritized this and have contacted hundreds of thousands of people by phone and text and other means to contact their legislators and see if it's possible to get this act through. So a lot of energy has been put into it, but because of the filibuster arrangements in the Senate, in the end, it probably will not pass, unfortunately. Pass.
Thanks, Bill. I'm going to put myself on the stack for that. Anybody else?
Mike Sack.
Okay, so I'll go first and then Mike. So I just was curious about the whole filibuster thing. Is it possible for the Democrats to eliminate the filibuster or modify it? I know that Manchin or whatever his name was saying he might be open to modifying the filibuster or whatever. But can anybody answer that for me? Pass.
Well, I can start with that.
Okay, and then we'll have Bill after Mike. Ahead,
Let's
Mike.
see. So it's almost as unlikely as passing it without. There are these. There is this budget reconciliation maneuver that the Democrats could also do if they chose to, which they've been talking about doing it for minimum wage, and somewhat to this point as well. So they can do it like once a session, and the parliamentarian already ruled that. I do not expect that there will be filibuster reform, at least not this year. So it's possible, but unlikely. Because in addition to Manchin, there's also Kirsten Sinema out in or Arizona or New Mexico. I forget where she's from. Who's also not for filibuster reform, which is, I could go on about that forever. Also, the other thing, so catching up on two things, there was no recording of the ranked choice event, or at least it hasn't been posted yet. And then also, if you, I'm posting another link around the PRO Act. If you want, if a lot of folks know this already, but if you really want to know what's going on in the labor movement, you should read Labor Notes, a monthly publication that also has a website. I am posting a link to an article from Labor Notes on what the PRO Act means in the context, because a lot of folks have been following the Amazon fight in Bessemer, Alabama. This is the article I'm posting in the chat is entitled, "If the PRO Act were law, the Amazon union election would have looked very different," and it lays out exactly how. So if you want to learn about the PRO Act, this is a good place to start.
Thanks, Mike. Also, I'm just going to put myself on the stack for that too. I have a question about the postal workers union. Biden is saying he's a big union support guy and all this, and yet he has not gotten rid of LaJoy yet, or whatever his name is. And so DeJoy, and he does have the ability to do that. So I think we can also put pressure on him to move forward on that, because talk about voter suppression, if the postal service isn't handled pretty fast, he's going to continue dismantling it. That's his plan, and he has no intention of resigning. So pass. Anybody else? Go ahead, Bill.
Just on the filibuster, there's no chance of getting rid of the filibuster at this time around. There might be a chance to soften it a little bit, to introduce some reforms, which would be helpful. At least Manchin in West Virginia seems to be open to that. But the ex-Green, what's her first name? Her last name is Sinema. In any case, from Arizona, she's hard right Democrat. I don't know how she made that transition from the Greens to the right wing of the Democratic Party, but she's an opponent of democracy as far as I'm concerned. So I don't see much prospect of it. And this whole campaign around the PRO Act, we've got to do this. We've got to lay the foundation. There's been big pushes by organized labor and its allies in the past to carry out labor law reform, and those haven't been successful, but it's educated the Republic and it's laid the basis for possible successful efforts in the future. As far as the post office, my understanding is that Biden does not have the ability to remove DeJoy, and I'm not exactly sure how that works, other than there is an oversight board in place for the postal worker, or for the post office. And the head of that board is Ron Bloom, and he was appointed by Biden, and he worked for the Steelworkers Union, my union, for many years. And he's a pretty amazing strategist and so on. And I'm sure he's just biting at the bit to get DeJoy out of the way, but he has dug in, and it'll take a while to get enough appointees on the board to shift the balance in the postal office. But I think DeJoy can be at least contained until he can be removed. Pass.
Thanks, Bill. That's good news. And I need to apologize to you, even though I had you on the stack, written your name down and everything, I forgot to have you go first before me.
Not to worry.
So, okay, thanks. Also, on this item, did everyone hear or anybody hear about Biden rescinding the Uber driving thing? For all the Uber drivers and Lyft drivers and people that do that. What's that kind of work called, where they shop for other people and that kind of thing?
Gig workers.
Gig workers. So did you guys hear that Biden rescinded that? So they are no longer, those companies are no longer protected from giving their workers the rights that every other worker has in the United States. So that was good news. Our next item is short-term objectives for annual goals. And let's see, we can move down to the voter suppression thing. We came up at our meeting with a 6/12 date for that, moving that off a month because we didn't get to it in May. And let's see. How much were we giving time to this? Any questions about that? All right. Then we can move on to outreach actions, and that's basically an announcement. Those are those two Facebook sites where we can find out what's happening in Milwaukee as far as activist opportunities. Recap for the Wisconsin Green Party Spring Gathering. Anybody?
So I pretty much covered that in my report, my membership committee report.
Yeah, thanks, Patty. Anybody else want to say how they felt about the gathering? Did we lose everybody?
Well, looks like it's two of us left, Greg.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Let's see, Bill had to leave for his other meeting, he says. I don't know what happened to Mike. Did he say he was gonna leave early?
No, did Tom say he left too? I know he was gonna.
He had to leave early, but I don't know what happened to Mike. Maybe he lost his connection.
Yeah, he'll probably be back. But I think I had a nice conversation with Bill after the spring gathering, and we both were just really impressed with that spring gathering. So thank you, Patty, for all the work you did on that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Really,
Yeah.
How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I thought it was really really great. And in fact, I went back and listened to the recording a little bit yesterday while I was doing some other work because I wanted to hear the panelists again and Howie Hawkins and that. And so, yeah, I thought it was there. It's always interesting and really inspiring to hear, what our guests, and their views and everything. So I always wish that there wouldn't be these contentious moments within the meetings, and especially with our co-chair, one of our co-chairs sort of, um, using the meeting to bring out personal, sort of personal conflicts and things. So I always wish we could get somehow established that that is not the place. An annual, or biannual membership meeting is not the place to complain about other members. So,
Yeah. And that goes right along with our team skills thing, right? Where, if we give people the opportunity to learn some team skills, when they're coming in without team skills, then we're being fair to them, right? It's so many times I've seen people come into these forums, where they really want to participate, they really want to volunteer, but then they get overwhelmed because they're expected to do things that they haven't been given the skills to do.
yeah.
And so it's really not fair. And then they end up leaving,
Well, and I think, we all agree that we're just so under staffed, and being a co-chair is a huge responsibility. And I think if a person is a co-chair, they need to have certain behaviors or understand behaviors that are suitable for their position. And I don't know how you let Mike in. He's trying to get in again. There we go.
Well, one of the things would be the orientation, having a good orientation, and that's part of any team that wants to be successful, is having a good orientation. So we do have a little orientation packet here for Greater Milwaukee Green Party, but that sometimes comes down to who has the time to do that and all that kind of thing. But it probably should fall on the other co-chair, to do the orientation. Usually, and we're lucky, we have other people that have been co-chairs, like Barbara's been co-chair and Mike's been co-chair. So, if an orientation needs to take place for a co-chair, we would have people that could probably do it from all the people that have done it already, even if people did a piece at a time kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just sort of my perspective being a little bit different, but this is the second year in a row in a state gathering, or second meeting in a row in a state gathering meeting, where we had this, very contentious debate or confrontation between members. And so I just think it's really not good for our image. And I would certainly, if I was brand new, I would be like, not for me.
Just to let you know what we're talking about, Mike, we're talking about the spring gathering recap. So just sharing a little bit about how we felt about that. And we're about out of time for it, but Patty and I were just saying that, we felt that one of the ways we could present better team skills for co-chairs is if we did a better orientation. I think you agree on that, right, Patty?
Yeah, something, yeah, I think that's a great idea, an orientation sort of just to cover co-chair behaviors in meetings and things like that. So
yeah, and I was saying that, in the Greater Milwaukee Green Party, we could do that pretty easily for a new co-chair, because we have 3 people that are either committee chairs or co-chairs right now that could take that on as, even if they did each person took a piece, it wouldn't be a very big deal to orient it to co-chair.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about that, Mike, before we move on?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Our next item is the author only WordPress rights for the website. And Tom told me what that was. What he would like to do is he has someone that he would like to have write a blog post for the WordPress for our website. And then that person would not have publisher rights. They would only have author rights. So it would have to be approved by the, in our meeting, what their blog post was going to be. And I think we could do that by just approving it through the opinion of the IT chair, or I don't know, we can have a discussion about it. Anybody have any ideas on how we could approve that?
Mike said.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I think it would, yeah. The IT group is basically responsible for the website, and I would absolutely support what whatever decisions that they make regarding who can post, what rights they have, and yeah,
I think Tom might be trying to get back in.
I just let it.
Oh, thank you, Patty. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
And author rights are exactly the right level that we would want to introduce them at.
Okay.
Because yes, and then so basically, what it means is that they can get into the backside, type whatever they want. When it's ready, one of the folks who have more administrative rights can then approve the post before it goes out to the public.
Okay, tell me that last part again, please. How would it go to the public?
So the new person, the author, quote unquote, writes the post when that person posts or finishes. That's my phone. I'm going to ignore it now.
Tom trying to get in because it's saying connecting to audio and he's having trouble connecting to audio.
Hello, it's Mike. I'll go offline.
I guess it's not Tom. He's going offline.
Yeah, I don't see a microphone for Tom. I don't see in.
I know he said his other meeting, he wasn't sure his other meeting was actually going to take place, so I imagine that's why he's trying to rejoin us.
I just messaged him. I'm not seeing a mic for him at all, so it might be on his end.
Mike's off the phone now, so he'll probably tell us if he was talking to Tom. Were you talking to Tom, Mike?
I was talking to Tom. I could hear you talking. It was most interesting.
So he's not able to get in?
He thought he was in. Is he not in?
Oh, it's saying connect. Oh, now it's saying Tom Rodman.
There's no mic for him. I think he's in the meeting, but I think there's no mic, and that's probably on his end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, Did you want to say something about that, Patty?
Wait, where were we? I lost my train of thought.
Oh, I was just thinking you might want to say something about the Tom thing yet, and I interrupted you.
No, I messaged him, so if he sees, if he's in the meeting, if he sees the message.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So Mike, you were explaining to me about how the WordPress thing would be published. I mean, how the person would get to the point where it would go out to the public.
So first, for the record, yes, Tom's in the meeting. He can hear us. His video is not working, but otherwise he's good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey, Tom. Okay, so we're Tom. We're talking about the person you want to have post stuff to WordPress.
Right.
Yeah.
I did hear that. I was listening to the live feed, and so it's all good.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm all aligned, and she'll be excited. She brought it. Ann Batista brought it up.
Oh.
So yeah, she might actually have a post for us on Press Freedom Day.
Excellent.
We'll see. All right.
So once again, Greg. So Tom gives her author rights. She types something into the WordPress editor, hits I'm done or whatever, I forget what it says, and then Tom or someone else with higher rights on the system can then approve the post. And when that happens, it just shows up on the website.
Thanks, Mike. So we need to decide if we're comfortable on that. Would we need to vote on that, or is that something that we're just comfortable leaving up to the IT, the IT chairperson? Any comments?
My personal opinion is, yeah, we should, so before they post anything, yes, it should come before a meeting or the co-chairs, just to say so-and-so wants to post on the website. We just want, with a reason or two why, if they but if they're obviously known to us, then I say give IT the power to do that. But yeah, they should clear it with somebody before they post for the first time.
Thanks, Mike, for your opinion on that. Also, I felt kind of the same way, especially if the person's not a member. And that way it kind of protects the IT chair from having that responsibility fully, and getting into trouble with maybe posting something that the group would not approve of, which would be unlikely to happen. But at the same time, it's kind of a protection for the IT chair. So anybody else have any comments on that? So Tom, it sounds like what the consensus is at this meeting is that, it would be good to run it by either a co-chair or bring it to a meeting for everyone to read, and then, approve it at the next meeting. So it could be posted, for everyone to read, and then like maybe posted in the chat, and then it would be approved at the next meeting, kind of thing.
Well,
any other discussion about that? Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Sack. Yeah. This is Ann Batista, but Batista we're talking about, Tom? If that's the person that we're talking about, because Tom mentioned him while we were sorting out the technology, I would certainly support allowing her to write on to post on the blog. She's well known. She's an activist around the Julian Assange case. I believe she's a professor at Marquette University, not just some random person off the street. I think we can go ahead and approve this now.
Okay. And anybody object to that? Mike's suggestion? Okay, I'm cool with that too, Dan. And we can move on to International Workers' Day. So we already talked about that petition and concerns about the Postal Workers Union. Is there anything else anyone wants to report from May 1st, International Workers' Day? Okay, then we can move on to reparations. This is a new item, but we do have a model. Evanston, Illinois is having some success with their model for dealing with reparations. So Mike and I talked about putting this on the agenda. We don't have the model link there or anything, but we could maybe have just a brief discussion about reparations. And one of my concerns with it was, is that something that's going to cause divisiveness? And I think the advice I was getting, and I appreciate, is that, whenever we're going to do something that's right, just do it and, let the chips fall where they may, because doing what's right is what we're supposed to do. So any discussion about reparations, other feelings about us working on reparations? Maybe taking some community leadership on that. Patty?
Yeah, I guess I would like to be educated, informed about if we're following the Illinois model, what that looks like.
Okay. And also, I think that's part of, well, I know it's part of from looking at the, and to, when we're doing our, like I'm reviewing the city county task force report, that 70-page report on the climate change stuff and economic equity for a Green New Deal for Milwaukee. And we're incorporating that into our anti-racist Green New Deal for Greater Milwaukee Green Party. So in there's quite a bit of stuff that might not necessarily be considered reparations, but it's definitely considered equity stuff. So I think in some ways, reparations are going to come up for discussion in all of that, hopefully. But we could also lead when we develop our coalition on that too, with reparations, where it's not in the county city task force report. Any other comments on that?
Nice, Zach.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. To Patty's point, what little I know about the Evanston model, which is based pretty much on a 15-minute segment on Democracy Now! About a month ago. So take it for what it's worth. The city of Evanston went back and did research on housing patterns in the city of Evanston from the founding of the city to 1939, and found consistent patterns of redlining, which may or may not have specifically referenced both freed slaves, post-emancipation, and their descendants. And apparently, in in the pre-Civil War and Reconstruction eras, the Underground Railroad apparently, Evanston was a stop. So they did all of this research, and between the redlining issues and various stuff and various housing related decisions that the city made in that period, they are granting people who lived in the segregated parts of town and their descendants money related to housing, buying houses and doing, there are grants available now to the descendants of slaves related to, that relate to housing in the city. So that's the broad framework. There's lots more specifics, and I think if you go to cityofevanston.org or search the City of Evanston, there's a report there. It's an interesting model, and there are lots. We've had some of these discussions before. On the overall thing, I think that we could take some leadership, and certainly part of and it certainly can be part of our anti-racist Green New Deal program. We have to be very careful, however, that the descendants of enslaved peoples need to take the lead, and we need to be very careful about pretending to know more than we do. This would be participating in such a campaign either as part of the anti-racist Green New Deal or as a different project led by Black folks in Milwaukee. We have this is a place where we would be learning.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, especially for that caveat, that's really important. Yep. So that's about all the time we have for that one, unless anybody has any more questions or comments on that. Okay, we'll probably be taking that up in our outreach committee meeting then, maybe.
We certainly should. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Items for next month's agenda. Anything? I'm sure they'll come up, but does anybody have anything right now? Okay. National Committee Affairs. Tom, are you still with us? I know he said his other meeting, he wasn't sure if that was going to actually transpire, so.
He is still in the meeting, and technically he's on mute. So if Tom is trying to say something. And I continue to be behind in my reading of the proposals before the NC. So I've got I was going to try and get to that this morning, but time ran out on me.
Yeah, we all have to prioritize. Sometimes life just takes over.
It sure does. I'm hoping. No, I better not talk about that. The job is getting a slight bit easier, but I don't know.
Don't know if your new employment is going to continue to be a slight bit easier or not.
Right, and I don't know if it's actually going to free up any time and or energy. So I better not promise things.
Yeah. All right. Well, hearing nothing from Tom on that, I guess we'll have to hear about National Committee Affairs next time. Patty, is there anybody on your membership committee that you'd like to acknowledge or their accomplishments locally, from our local group?
We haven't really been working together lately because of the issue, with the list. So nothing at this time.
Okay. So I'll just run through these. All the people that participate in the coordinating council, and for today, that's Tom and Mike and Patty. Appreciate your work, because you being involved in that state stuff really connects us to the state. I don't know if you were here, Mike, but Tom suggested that we possibly every once in a while, maybe once a year or whatever, meet with the Four Lakes Green Party and commiserate. So, we can put that on the agenda for next time, see if people want to do that. And then we
sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, we can approach them if people are in agreement. Also, the committee chairs and members for their work this month, including elections, outreach, membership, and IT. Alex for sharing his experience at the state gathering. That was very helpful. Know what's happening in Milwaukee. And it wasn't just Alex, it was, I think, Barbara too, participating in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tom, Bill, and Patty for State Spring Gathering event. Bill and I talked after that event, and we both just really enjoyed it. I don't know, Mike, did you want to say anything about that? You weren't here when we were talking about that. The recap of the State Spring Gathering.
It was an excellent event. I thought we got a lot done. I thought the panels were excellent, and I'll reserve judgment on what people thought of what I did. So, but I was happy with it. So the panels were excellent. I'm sorry that there was so much contention over the bylaws issues, but there actually are some things that we disagree about, and that's at least a sign of life for our party. If we all thought the same, it would become difficult.
Yeah. Okay. And then let's see. Mike for helping to organize the Greater Milwaukee Green Party agenda meeting every month. Tom for the Milwaukee Greens website blog posting. If you haven't seen that, it's really a very good blog post that Tom did. Some really nice links there. And Pam for Nation Builder work, and Monty for IT collaboration with Tom this month. So anything else that anybody wants to say there? Okay. So I think that's it. Somebody want to lead on our call to action?
And then
Well,
Greg, can you stay
Go
on
ahead.
with me after?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Patty.
Could you stay on with me after, just to go back over the minutes a bit?
Sure, as long as I'm not in trouble, I'm doing that. Go ahead, Mike.
sure, I'll lead.
Okay,
For the ragtag band that's left, join me in the call to action. We believe
We
we believe
in alternative independent politics
in alternative independent politics
and active responsible government.
and active responsible government.
We believe
We believe
We believe
in the empowering of all citizens
in the empowering of all citizens
and communities to create the world we want.
and
and communities to create the world we want.
We offer hope
We offer hope
and a call to action.
and a call to action.
Green and growing.
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 Green and growing. Thank you, Mike. I think I'm going to put some hyphens in where you did that. That was really good.
That's Martin style. That's how
Yeah.
I learned it.
That's an improvement, I think.
At least we're closer to being all together.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay, I've got my last hyphen in there. Cool. All right. Anything else that anybody has? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for your time this morning. It was educated me quite a bit, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. And we're right on time. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike.
See you next month,
Okay.
if not sooner.
Yeah, I hope sooner so we can do the agenda meeting for sure and outreach.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
So, Patty. Bye, Mike.
Just a couple of things I want to get into the minutes before we go. I think I've got everything. So, sorry, it's really noisy around my office right now.
That's all right.
Going to the agenda, the discussion of the City Council Task Force on Climate and Economic Equity. So you mentioned there was a discussion of canceling utility debt and something else. Do you recall what else you mentioned there?
Yes. So, canceling utility debt, and then Sarah Godlewski, the state treasurer, talked about property tax relief
Okay.
and how that was going to be handled through the American Rescue Plan funds that the governor has at his disposal.
Okay, got that. And then you sort of gave a elections committee report, but I didn't get any of that down.
Oh, actually, I forgot to do that, but
You did mention a couple of things. You talked about the meeting, I think.
yeah, and I actually have that here. Let me just stop my screen share. I can bring it up. So we talked about, Barbara put out an email that was quite extensive about it. So she put that out to the whole list. But also, we talked about how to recruit candidates, what to put volunteers on, like if we have some volunteers where we would like them to work, depending on what their wants are. An issues campaign purview. And being proactive now instead of waiting for closer to the elections.
Okay.
The Brennan Center report on voter suppression in Wisconsin.
Is that BRENDON?
I think it's BRENNAN.
Oh, Brennan. Brennan Center report on, what was that?
The voter suppression in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Approaching nonpartisan candidates like they did in, like you guys did in Madison. Big part.
Okay.
Starting up the door-to-door stuff again. The Green New Deal.
Wow, how'd you guys get all this in one meeting?
Yeah, and it's a half-hour meeting, and the way we got it in is because it was just Barbara and I.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we also talked about, you know, connecting up with Line 3 activism.
Okay.
And the last thing is Barbara has been working with her alderperson. They finally connected. And so some good activism with Tenorio.
Great. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
is that it?
Yeah, let me just make sure I don't have anything else. Note. So yeah, no, I think that's it. So these are ready to go. I'll send these to you now. Or yeah, I'll put them in the co-chair folder for you.
Great. Yeah, and you know, it's I just need to be upfront about, you know, I'm not getting them out as fast as I want to. It's just you know, life takes over, and you know, what can you do? And it's gonna get probably worse for me because I'm trying to get rid of our camp, which means hauling a mobile home to the dumps.
Oh
And
my.
finding someone to do that and all that goes into that is big. And then also selling our house in Upper Michigan, our rental house there. So that's big too, you know, getting rid of a house. So
Oh yeah. Well, now's a good time to sell it. Now's the time.
right, yeah. So I need to get on that. And I have been up there pretty frequently, like twice in the past month, or maybe even 3 times in the past 6 weeks. So I'm trying to be proactive with it, but we'll see how it all goes. So that's why I haven't got the minutes out faster, and I just need you to be aware of that because, you know, you've always been trying to do it too. And
No worries from me. And this for the next meeting, the first 2 weeks of June, I'm going to have family with me, so I'm going to be basically not at any meetings the first 2 weeks of June. So
okay, good to know.
yeah.
Good to know. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, have fun with your family, and maybe we'll talk before that. But if not, I understand that you're really in an extremely busy time of work too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that time of year. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. And hopefully we enjoy this busy time. Huh?
I know. Busy is good.
Yeah, it can be good. All right, Patty. Well, thanks so much for showing up today. It was really great having you here, and hopefully we'll talk soon if possible or necessary.
Thanks for all your work, Greg. It's always appreciated.
You're welcome. Have a good
Bye.
one. Bye.